Hey there, mamas! You are listening to Release Your Inner Power podcast, where we talk about having both me time and being the best mom, sharing stories, encouragement, and tips for taking the steps to release that inner power and that mom guilt. I'm your host, Tasha B. Here we go. One quick thing before we get started. I will be doing a drawing for a fun gift each month. Here are 3 ways to enter. You can email me to share your juicy takeaways, topic ideas you want to hear, or share a story. Share this podcast on social media and tag me with what episode you listened to and what you learned or loved about it. And if you leave a review, you will get 2 entries into the drawing. I will announce the winner the last week of each month. Okay, let's get started. Guess what? Something new is coming in January and February, and I want to give you guys all the little tidbits on it here. I have something that is coming out. If you are a person that struggles with finishing something or starting a new task but you don't complete it, or you want to start something new, or you want to just get adventurous and go out and try something else, or you are having a little trouble working through some guilt because you don't think that you should be doing those things, I have something for you. I am making small community. I have 2 of them. Small community where women come together to communicate, to connect, to support each other with live coaching from me. It is a monthly membership. I can give you all the details. There is a link in the show notes that goes into description on what this is. And I have 2 of them starting January and February. If you want on the list, send me your email so I can get you on this list. Limited spots available to help you accomplish your new year goals. Hey, welcome back. We're just going to have a little conversation today. I thought it would be fun and interesting to talk because Tasha has a 13-year-old teenager now in her house, and I want to talk about that. How does that feel?
It feels like, am I even old enough to have a 13-year-old? Where did the time go? Like, seriously, where did the time go?
Right.
And third, like, he is such an amazing teenager. He is an exceptional kid.
Yeah,
like, he was stoked, and I was emotional the whole day.
Oh, really? I know, like, can you imagine, like, what it's like? I mean, I feel like it's been forever for us, right? Like, to, like, turn 13. I mean, I think I remember, like, being like, oh, I'm a teenager now, but just, like, to see it on your own kiddo, like, them being so stoked that they have the teen after their, like, they're becoming, like, a big, like, it's not even a big kid anymore. Like, you're past the kid part, right? Like,
yeah, for sure. I mean, he's got, like, a mustache starting, like, you can tell it's darker. He's grown, like, I think 5 inches in the last couple of months. It's insane. His voice is starting to change, and he comes down the stairs, and I'm like, whoa, what man is here? Literally, yeah. Adam and I will say, like, whose man-child is here? It's ours.
Whose man-child? I know. It's so crazy. Like, how, so you see, like you're saying, I was emotional all day. I can empathize with that. Also, like, tell me about that. Like, when you say you're emotional, like, what were you doing?
Well, I just being present for the whole experience, I think, enhanced my emotionality. Is that a word? I don't know. I'm going with it.
It is today.
It sure is. I wake up and I go to the couch, and I'm laying on the couch, and he runs, like, literally, he's a giant child, but he runs down the stairs and, like, jumps in and snuggles with me on the couch, which, first of all, can I just say, I am so blessed to have this big kid be still so loving to his mama,
Yeah.
I am so grateful for that. And that is his personality. And so he's just, like, telling me about how excited he is, and he is getting older, but he's so childlike happy about his birthday, which he's only 13, he's not in his 30s, but still, like, just the innocence of being so excited still, and watching him embrace growing up And, we just sat there talking about it. And he had picked me to go to breakfast with, which is pretty cool. We usually go to birthday breakfast every year. And so we both get ready and we get dressed and we go to breakfast. And I'm just sitting across from this, you know, my firstborn.
Right.
And I'm just having all of these, memories and thoughts and simultaneous thoughts of the past and the future and the present and where we are right now. And I'm feeling that feeling of, when he was first born and how warm he was on my chest. Like I have that imprinted in my cellular memory, the warmth of his newborn body. And then I'm looking at him, today be this really rad, awesome child who's growing into his own self. And I am also just thinking about our dynamics and our relationships and, hopes for all parents is I hope I'm doing the best that I can for this individual child. And clearly he is rocking life. He's an exceptional child. But I'm still thinking like, am I doing enough to nurture our relationship? Do we have things to talk about when it's just him and I, which is a rarity, right? Because there's 5 kids. So just a lot of thoughts are going through my mind. And he, planned to go to the pump track with his friend and they call me on a cell phone. I'm like, oh my God, okay, we're at this age. He can call me on a cell phone when he's not with me. And he's like, hey, we want to go down to the coffee shop and grab something to drink. And I'm like, this feels like a new phase. And then he calls me later and he's like, hey, we're going to walk home. And I'm like, okay, like this is all new stuff that we're exploring together. And I'm thinking about how cool it is. And also how it was just yesterday that I was also 13.
Right? I know, it's so crazy. How did you do with like when you're saying it's all new things to like exploring, like how did you do with that? Like when he's like, hey, we're gonna go, to the coffee shop and we're gonna get a drink. Was it like, okay, like you're confident, but inside you're like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. I don't know if I'm ready for you to go to the coffee shop and get a drink. You know what I mean? Like it's not like you're not ready because yes, like he's 13 and you want to have all this, like have the experiences, but it's like a whole process. I remember like when my kiddo turned 13, it's like a process as a mom to be like, oh, wait, you're 13, it's like you want to hold on to them like as long as you possibly can. So it's like both of you in this transition stage, right, of teenage years of like honoring his like experiences and all the fun he's having and feelings. And then you like, okay, I'm working through it on the back end here. We're gonna work through this together, with like trying to be okay with this, like you said, man child. Like, what is happening?
Totally. I think I did great at the letting go, if you will, and letting him, be his own individual older person with more responsibilities and freedom. And although I still am the parent, so I brought them money and I was like, make good choices with your drinks. Don't be like getting, some triple monster kind of a drink just because you're going by yourself and, you're walking. So like be aware of your surroundings, but it was pretty cool, to have that. And I know he is really aware of, my thoughts and concerns, not specifically about him, but just freedom. So he was like, okay, the coffee shop is pretty close and our house is pretty close to the pump track. So it was cool that he's still also mindful and not like, I'm going to be fine, mom. He's like, it's close. We're going to just walk down there if that's cool. And so he's a great kid.
Yeah. How did you do with like when you said like, are we even gonna have stuff to talk about when it's just us? Like, how did you do with that? Like with breakfast and stuff? I'm sure it was fine, but just like, I like that you said that like about like just thinking about that kind of thing. Like how did that go?
Well, I am always, when I get the opportunity, thinking about that, being mindful and making sure that I'm present and, all the kids are different too. To be honest, Wyatt is a soccer at 10 o'clock at night when I want to be done with the day. He has just processed all of his thoughts and his activities. So like 10 o'clock p.m. is his time to shine, to talk. So I can't expect a lot during the day. And also, to be honest, at breakfast, he is like scarfing down the breakfast and the cinnamon
Yeah.
roll. He's definitely got like a teenager appetite. So it's funny, but he is currently in soccer, did baseball before, and I get to take him to soccer. So right now we're in soccer season. I get to take him to soccer and I get to pick him up. And I do say I get to because my husband and I both have the capabilities to take him with our schedules, but I choose to and I ask to because I like that time that I get to have just with him. And so I make the conversation or talk to him in the car at those times, pick up and drop off. So
That's cool. I love that. I like taking the time too, right? Like I like taking the time to have just your time with your kiddo like one on one. I feel like it does so much for like the relationship and where things are or how things are and you know a different space to like just talk, especially when not like everyone else is around and you're doing all the things.
yeah.
So I really like the one-on-one time that you get to because they get to know you as like a person aside from just being, being a parent also, not always in that parent role, but kind of backing up a little bit and sharing that with them.
Yeah. And
I
this is a
love that.
cool age too. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, it is a cool age. It is. Go ahead.
I mean, I'm just noticing it is a cool age because it's this developmental step where I think if it's nurtured, at least just from our experience, they are more empathetic to you as not just their parent, but you as a person
Yeah.
who is, doing different things and you have different titles and responsibilities. So they're beginning to see you more as um automatically I wanted to say asset and that's not what I mean, but like they can respect at this age. They have the emotional maturity to see that you're just not there for their every beck and call and everything's not just super easy. So it's been
Yeah.
cool to be able to have a more adult like interactions of, hey, I see what you're doing here and I appreciate this, and be able to have these kind of conversations that are a bit more mature because they are older and mature and they're also having more life experience.
Yeah, their world gets bigger and they see more things that you do in that world that they now can see, right? Like their boundaries of their world got a little bit bigger and so they're like, "Oh, like without it's a subconscious thing, but then they like get it, right? They get some of those things. And so then they're like, oh yeah, mom and dad do XYZ that like 3 years ago was not even on his radar just because he's not
Right.
experiencing it himself, right? He has less
Yeah.
responsibility. So it's always interesting and fun to see how when their world gets bigger, like how their response is and how, the relationship goes as well. It's really cool. I mean, I remember when my oldest turned 13 and it was at a point in time where he was going to have to be home alone and he didn't have a phone yet. And I remember him saying like, everybody has a phone and blah 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 and all that and I'm just like, I don't care if everybody has a phone, whatever.
Yeah.
Like I'll give you a phone when it's needed and if you're always with somebody that has a phone, it's not needed, dude, right? So like
Totally.
then he gets so his like present for his 13th birthday was he was getting this phone because he's going to be home alone and I could not, like, he has to be able to contact me, right? But it was
Mhm.
like the coolest thing for him. But then I'm like, oh my gosh, he has this phone. Cause then that's like a whole nother world of like rules and boundaries and all the things as a parent, anyways, because you're like handing them a device where they can literally tap into anything. And so it was like this whole like big thing, but just like it's like a graduation, if you will, into like, okay, responsibilities. Let's see if you're ready, and like touch and go and like working with it, like working with all of that and just it's funny how as a mom, you're working through it from a different angle too. Like you also have to work through your stuff, of like the letting go and the ready for the next thing and being excited for them and allowing them to experience certain things, in life instead of like being afraid of like you can't keep them in a bubble forever, right? You got to like
Yeah.
okay, let you experience it, let you experience it, and you too are also making that adjustment, if you will.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's cool. It's cool. Well, thank you for sharing your newly 13-year-old experiences with us. I always like to talk about things like that because I think it's fun to see like, what we go through as moms as well and then talk about our kiddos and how they respond to it. And I just love that he has, like you said, a childlike excitement about it at the same time like I'm 13, I'm 13 but
Mhm.
like being excited about it. I love that. That's really cool. I just want to say thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, learned something new, or got a juicy takeaway that will bring in that heck yeah back into your life. I release a new episode each week, so make sure to subscribe. If you love the show, want to share a story, comment below. If you know someone that would love or need this episode, be sure to share it with them. I'm sure they would love you for it. Tag me and find me on social media at Ignited Decisions on Instagram and Shauna with Ignited Decisions on Facebook. I would love to know what episode you listened to and how it helped you, as well as connect on social. Okay, mamas, claim your time and release your inner power.